Hi everyone, I'm Maureen Wroblewitz, and today we will be discussing Web's most searched questions, Beauty Pageant edition. So if you didn't know already, I joined my first ever pageant, which is Miss Universe Philippines, last year. I was not very prepared, I would say, because I only had this short time frame to prepare, which was 2 to 3 months. And I did all the preparation, which was personality development, pasarela, Q&A training. Very new to me because I was a model before. I also hosted a little bit and acted a little bit, so joining a beauty pageant was never part of my plan. But it was, it was in the back of my mind. It was something that I did consider. And it was so different from what I expected. I actually was terrified to join because I have social anxiety, or, not so much anymore, but I have been dealing with it a lot. And I'm also afraid to be on stage and to talk in front of an audience. So knowing that I would have to answer a question in front of so many people and being vulnerable in front of so many people was terrifying to me. I did not expect it to be like that. There were so many things that happened that I actually enjoyed. I didn't expect to enjoy it that much. I didn't expect to have this big family afterwards, because my batch, I love my batch and I love all the girls that joined last year, and we were all so close. There was no drama. And if you watched me from Asia's Next Top Model, the whole show was full of drama. So I did expect there to be some drama, a lot of girls being together and all these stories, but it wasn't like that. We were this big family, this sisterhood, and that's what I enjoyed the most about joining a beauty pageant. Okay, so the first question is, do beauty queens keep their crowns? Okay, so I did not win a crown, so I really don't totally know the answer of this one, but I do know that Bea did keep her crown sometimes. If she had a late shoot and another shoot the next day, she would keep her crown. But a lot of times the Miss Universe Philippines team would take care of her crown because it's expensive. And if someone like me, someone who's really clumsy, would keep a crown, I'd probably lose it. So it's best that the beauty queens don't always keep their crowns. Next, do beauty queens get paid? Yes, because beauty queens are also influencers, we are supposed to have this social media presence. So of course we get paid by doing a lot of sponsored shoots. And then me being part of the top 5, I have a lot of duties that I get paid for. And so I would say, yes, beauty queens get paid. Okay, so do beauty pageants promote empowerment? I do believe so, because as a pageant, it's all about the women, and us as beauty queens, we are the ones who promote empowerment, because we are these confident women who empower other women, who support other women towards their dreams and towards feeling more confident. And it is empowering because we have this opportunity to be on stage, to talk about our beliefs, to use our voice to make a difference in not just the world, but also in people's lives. And that is very empowering for me. Do beauty pageants allow plastic surgery? Yes. And I think that is totally okay. Me as a person, I haven't got anything done, and I'm totally fine with someone who wants to get something done. If that boosts your confidence, if that makes you happy, then go for it. And I think that shouldn't be an issue in beauty pageants, because it is not just about our physical beauty, it's more about our our inner beauty. And that is one thing that we really promote is our inner beauty and our wisdom, our knowledge and intelligence. And that is way more important than, you know, thinking about, oh, she has gotten something done or not. Okay, next question. Do beauty pageants do drug tests? Well, our pageant did not. I do know that drugs are not allowed and I don't support them. But no, we did not do drug tests. But that doesn't mean that you're allowed to bring drugs when you enter a beauty pageant. How much do beauty pageants cost? As a beauty queen, you need a lot of funds, especially if you don't have a lot of especially if you don't have a lot of sponsors. Like, I'm very lucky that I had a lot of friends supporting me, but not everyone gets that. And I mean, there are a lot of things that you need. There's makeup that you need to buy, there are heels that you need to buy, there are outfits that you need to buy if you don't have a stylist. But even if you do have a stylist, you have to pay for the stylist. And then there's a gown that you have to think of, and there are hair extensions that you have to think of. So that's a lot of things, and it does cost a lot to be a beauty queen. Next question is, how are beauty pageants judged? Okay, so I did judge a lot of beauty pageants around the Philippines. I was lucky enough to judge a lot of provincial pageants, and so we all have a score sheet, but every pageant is different. So they look at different aspects, which a lot of times we look at, you know, the gown, then we also look at posture and performance and the Q&A, of course, which is not so much the substance, but is more about the delivery. So it depends, but every pageant has a score sheet and a lot of aspects that they look at, but it's different for every pageant. How do beauty pageants affect self-esteem? Okay, so this is one thing that I would like to talk about. When it comes to beauty pageants, it really does affect your self-esteem, and an advice is that before you do join a beauty pageant, you need to be confident in a way where you need to have a lot of self-love for yourself, because you need a lot of self-love because being with a lot of girls, of course, it is normal for you to compare yourself with the other girls and your competitors, and that can affect your self-esteem a lot. So it's really important for me to have that self-love before you join a pageant, because it can affect your self-esteem in a negative way. And it did to mine as well, and being on social media as well, it affects you and affects your mental health. And I remember that it was very important for me to stay from social media, and that's one thing that I advise you to do, is because it helps you really focus on your journey. It really helps you focus on yourself, and to stay away from negative comments, because it's not only going to affect your confidence, your mental health, but it's also going to affect your performance. And don't go onto your competitor's account and read their comments, because even seeing a lot of praise for them will think that maybe you're not good enough. So there's a lot of things to remember if you do join a pageant, because yes, it will affect your self-esteem. And even after I'm kind of recovering from the pageant when it comes to my mental health, because there are a lot of things that you have to consider, and a lot of things that you'll start thinking about, and then you'll blame yourself for some things that was out of your control. So just always take care of your mental health, and remember to focus on yourself, and remember that this is your journey only, and it's yours alone, and no one should have that big of a say on your journey. If that makes sense. That was very long, but it's just I could ramble for hours just talking about how it affects your self-esteem, but just always give yourself that love. How to start doing beauty pageants. Okay, so this is one thing that I didn't know anything about. All I knew was that there was something called Aces and Queens. And I do recommend joining a camp before you do decide to join a beauty pageant, because that's the perfect training ground. You have, as in with Aces and Queens, because I was with Aces and Queens, I had personality development, I had Q&A training, pasarela training, and we were really taking care. I knew about the whole process. I learned about the whole process. I learned about the gowns, how that works, and national costumes. And without them, I would be nowhere, because I was such a newbie. I had no idea of anything. And so if you have that opportunity, do join a camp, so you have that training ground, so that you have people taking care of you. But if you don't get into, because I think they have castings for that as well, but if you don't get into one of them, make sure that you also seek for trainers who will help you in your journey. Q&A training is very important, pasarela training is very important, but more than that, it is not just about being able to answer the question, but it's really knowing a lot about yourself, because you can only answer a question and bring in that personality if you know a lot about yourself and if you know your narrative. So the one thing that is really important to know before you join a beauty pageant is know your narrative. Very important. Okay, next. What do beauty pageants teach you? So joining my first ever beauty pageant taught me a lot about myself. It taught me so many things, that I'm able to conquer my fears, any kind of fear, because I was terrified of joining a pageant. And it was my first ever pageant. I was always terrified, as in the thought of just being on stage, being vulnerable, answering that question, it terrified me. I didn't really mind anything else. Like, I didn't mind the evening gown portion. I didn't mind the swimsuit portion. I just was terrified of the Q&A. And my Q&A session didn't just teach me a lot about the world, about social issues, because you really have to be updated, as in you really need to know a lot about what's happening in the world, and what's happening to climate change, and like all these different topics. But I really learned so much about myself, because as I said in answering the last question, is you really need to know your narrative. And of course, knowing your narrative means that you need to know everything about your past, how your past makes you feel now, how your past made you feel then, what part you want to bring into your present, as in into your now, and just so many things that you need to know before joining. And that really helped me discover so many things about myself, and that is one thing that I'm grateful for, but also remembering how strong I am as a person. That's the most important thing that I've learned. I hope you learned a lot about beauty pageants. I know that I'm not really an expert when it comes to this, because I only joined one pageant so far. But I do hope that you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this content, make sure to subscribe to the Sunny Side Up channel. Follow them on Instagram and on Facebook, and if you want, you can also follow me on Instagram, which is at MAUWROB, and watch out for my new project, which I hope that my movie is coming out this year, so watch out for that. Okay, bye!